رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي صدق الله العلي العظيم. I welcome you all to this class, and I hope that you all actually did revise some things. So anybody revise anything?
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
الصفات الطبية التبيتة
الطبيعة.
تبيتية.
Right? What are you saying?
Its definition, man.
So we revise the positive.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I wanted to know whether you guys had revised everything. So I'm going to mute you all so that I can speak. We're talking about akhlaq today. And you can see that the chapter I have is of generosity. If you have any questions, you will have to raise your hands using the buttons in there. You are all on mute now. Okay. Now, akhlaq, generosity. I'm just going to give you a short synopsis before you read the book. I'm pretty sure you need you all know most of the stuff. So, okay, somebody has said something here. Let's have a look. Okay, Fazan. Okay, don't need to say okay. Right. Generosity is something that you all know. It's the ability to give something to somebody who expresses their need, or even though they don't express their need, you still give them something. Now, generosity can be few things. It could be money, it could be your time, it could be some skills, and there's something else in the book as well. So these ways we can, give people something that they might be finding it useful, and that'll help them in their lives. And we are generous. Don't think for 1 second that if you are being generous and giving it something to somebody, then you are doing them a favor. First of all, it is an obligation, a moral obligation for us to be generous. Remember, generous in Arabic is known as Kareem. We always say Allah is Kareem. We expect Allah to be Kareem, Allah to be generous to us, because He is the biggest giver. He gives to everybody, even the people who believe Him, not believe Him, good people, bad people, whatever kind of people they are. He gives to animals, He gives to everybody. Every being is dependent on Allah to be Kareem, to show Karam. We call Rasulullah Kareem. We call our Aimma alayhi salam Kareem. Everybody is Kareem. So for us to be close to the qualities of our Aimma alayhi salam, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to be Kareem ourselves. Are you all with me? So it is important that we are, reflecting the qualities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given inside us, and get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We always hear from our elders, get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How? We can't walk, we can't fly, we can't take any mode of transport to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can only get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through our ethics, through our God consciousness, through our taqwa, if you heard this term. So generosity, or any quality that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has in Him, and we practice it in our lives, gets us closer to Allah. So that's the only way of getting a higher status in this life and in the next, inshallah. Sometimes people say something or make fun of you, even though you're doing the right thing. Don't worry about it. As long as you are following the ethics that Islam has taught us, we'll be fine. Because some way or the other, somebody's going to come and get back. It goes on in circles. Something will come back to us. Any generous act we do, it will come back to us. And if we are expecting a quick return, that is our problem. Allah gives, but when and how, where, we don't know. Sometimes we can't relate why this happened to me. It was such a nice thing that that person did something to me. Well, you must have done something. Or if you haven't done anything, if you can't think of something that you've done, then it must be something that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually showing you that if you do it this way, then if you receive this way, then you should also give to people. So it is an encouragement for all of us to sort of be in a position or try to be in a situation where we can share our things. One more thing I'd like to add on this before I actually ask you to read the book is something about charity. Charity is something that we give when we have something extra to somebody who's needy. That is also some kind of a generosity where people indulge in charity. We tend to give our old clothes, we tend to give our old, something that we don't use anymore, and we know that somebody's needy, somebody's poor, we give it to them. That's good. It's not good to just throw them away. It can still be used with dignity. Then you should give something, whether it's clothes, whether it's money. If you have anything extra, you should not just keep it, hoard it. We should try to spread the love, as they say. So, the good thing is that when we show charity towards somebody who is needy, it's a very good thing. However, remember one thing, that giving something which you don't need is not really generosity, if you look at it. Okay, the worst thing could have been that you would have kept it all to yourself. That would be even worse. But if you have something extra and you're giving it away, that isn't a great, generous act or an act of charity. An act of charity is when you give something that you also want to somebody else. That is the ultimate level. That is the Kareem person. That is Karama. So this is what I wanted to say. There are a couple of aspects of this. I would like somebody to read who has not read before in class the chapter. Anybody want to raise their hands? I have unmuted all.
Qaseem.
So, yes, who said something? Anybody want to say something? Can I ask somebody by name to read? Because I haven't got volunteers yet. Sabah Zaidi? Are you there? Sabah Zaidi?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. Would Sabah Zaidi like to read?
I'm her son, yeah.
Oh, you are her son. What's your name, son?
Moise.
Moise. Okay, we haven't spoken before. Moise, would you like to read this chapter?
Yeah, okay.
Good. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Bismillah ar-Rahim. The literal meaning of generosity, called al-karama in Arabic, is willingness to give something that you have to another. There are two forms of generosity: giving away extra to people and giving away that which you yourself need. In the Holy Quran, Allah says, "As for him who gives away and guards himself against evil and believes in the best, we will smoothen for him in the path to bliss." Surah Al-Layl, chapter 92, verses 5 to 7. Do you want me to go to the right now?
Yeah. No, you read the full page and then you go to the right.
Prophet Muhammad has said, "A generous person is a friend of Allah."
Okay, Moise, 1 minute. I know it says an S there, but we all, whenever we say Prophet Muhammad, we say Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Then only we proceed. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, sorry. Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has said, "A generous person is a friend of Allah, and a miser, cheap person, is an enemy of Allah." Generosity in different forms. One day, a group of kids were busy playing, and all of a sudden, they saw Imam Hassan alayhi salam, so they invited him to sit down and eat with them. He joined them, and then afterwards, he invited them to his house. He gave them food, clothes, and gifts. After this, he said, "The generosity of these kids was much more than mine. They gave me everything they had, while I only gave them a little bit of what I own."
Carry on. Yeah.
We can be generous in many different ways. Of course, we can give our money, but we can also be generous by lending our time, knowledge, or help. Here are only some ways for you to be generous. By giving allowance to a needy person or cause, by helping a blind person cross the road, by helping a fellow student by tutoring them in a subject they need help in, or by volunteering for tasks you can do at Islamic centers. Miserliness, meaning to be stingy. Miserliness means to be stingy or cheap. This means giving very little of what you have to someone who needs it. Just like you can be generous with more than just money, you can be stingy in other areas also. For example, if your mother asks you to help her for 5 minutes, and you set your stopwatch so that you help her for exactly 5 minutes and then go away, then that is also being stingy. Stingy with your time. There should never be any miserliness in the home. If your brother/sister wants to use something of yours, you should give it freely and not count how much of it was used or how long it was used for. Balance between generosity and miserliness. The key to being a successful Muslim, and one of the main Islamic principles, is to have a balance in life. Thus, we must also be balanced in our generosity. This means that we should not give away everything, nor does it mean that we should keep everything and not share. It means finding the right balance between the two, where we give a lot, but not to the point where we lead ourselves to ruin.
Thank you very much, Moise. Jazakallah khair. So you see, it's all very self-explanatory. Okay. And is there any question? I've unmuted you all. You can speak. I can hear somebody reciting beautifully. Who is that? Okay. So no question. It's very self-explanatory, as you all can understand from this. Generosity is a very important quality. It is what makes us Kareem, or takes us to the path of being Kareem, inshallah ta'ala. Now there's a worksheet there, which you can see. I'm moving the page on my book, which you can all see, I guess. So it says the area. Give an example of how you can be generous or stingy in each of the areas. It's very, very easy. Money, time, knowledge, and skills. In these 4 aspects, what can you do? And then you will consider it to be generous. And what can you do when you will consider it stingy? That's this class's exercise. The next thing is about wasting. I'll go quickly to the next chapter as well. It's small chapters, these are. Wasting means israf. In Arabic, we call it israf. Now, using more than we need, or wasting something, or not using it properly, is a waste. Using more than we need, not using something properly, and trying to get something which we cannot afford. All these things are included in wastefulness. These 3 things are the main crux of the whole chapter. I want one of you to read this so that we all benefit from your reading. And I'm going to select somebody from here who has not read before. Zain Hamdani? Zain Hamdani, are you there?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
using
Zain?
more than we
Carry on.
using more than we need. This means that we should respect food by not abusing it. We should not play with food even for fun. We should never abuse it in any way, and we should never throw it away unless it is spoiled.
I can't see where you're reading, Zain.
Where should I start?
It's at the top of the chapter. It says al-israf, means
Oh,
wasting.
sorry.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Bismillah.
Al-israf means wasting. It can mean one of the following: using more than we need, not using something properly, buying something that we cannot afford. In Islam, we place great importance on stopping wastage. Israf is not limited to fruit and food. It applies to all blessings of Allah. One day a man was performing wudu when the Holy Prophet ﷺ passed him. The man was wasting water. So the Holy Prophet said, "Don't waste the water." The man asked, "O Prophet of God, is there israf even in matters like wudu?" The Prophet replied, "Of course, israf is possible in all matters." So as you can see, israf can be done in many different areas in our lives: food, money, clothes, resources, and even time. Allah explains to us in the Holy Quran, O you who believe, do not make unlawful the good things and that God has made lawful for you, but do not commit excess, for God does not love those given to excess. Surah Al-Ma'idah. Ma'idah.
Maida,
Yes.
the fifth surah.
Yeah. Islam teaches us to have respect for all things that Allah has blessed us with, and what is more worthy of respect than sub sustenance food that He has provided. Using more than we need. This means that we should respect food by not abusing it. We should not play with food even for fun. We should never abuse it in any way, and we should never throw it away unless it is spoiled. If we throw food away without reason, then we are throwing away a gift from Allah. This is a sign of ungratefulness. When putting food on our plates, we should put only as much as we think we will be able to finish. If we are still hungry after finishing, we can take some more. However, many times you see people who are hungry put a heap of food on their plates, eat half, eat half of it and throw the rest away. We should be aware that there are many people in the world who do not have enough to eat and don't even know where their next meal will come from. What right do we have when we take food for granted so as to be able to throw it away as if it was garbage? Akhlaq tip: avoid putting yourself in positions where you will commit israf, like going shopping without a list or going to the grocery store while you're fasting and buying more than what you need. Not using things properly. Sometimes israf can look different than what we expect. For example, we
Stop for a
should use.
minute. Stop for a minute, please.
Yeah,
Sorry, Zain. I've
yeah,
got somebody raising their hand, so I need to talk to them.
okay.
Farzan, you want to say something? Where's Farzan? Farzan? Okay, well, if you do, please don't play with the buttons if you don't have to ask, if you don't have any questions to ask. Thank you very much. Okay, carry on, please, then.
Um, Not using things properly. Sometimes israf can look different than what we use pencil. Okay, what we expect. For example, we should use pencils to write good things. We should not mistreat them and break them. Similarly, we should not abuse our bodies by eating more than we need. Critical thinking. What what are some common items that people use incorrectly?
So this
Buying
is
stuff.
an exercise. Critical thinking is not part of the chapter itself, but it's
Oh, okay.
giving your point. Do some critical thinking and see and reflect on what are some common items that people use incorrectly.
Okay.
Okay, carry on, Zain, please.
Buying stuff we cannot afford. This world has many toys that will tempt us, and we find ourselves wanting more and more toys as we get older. Another form of israf is when we go ahead and buy something that we cannot afford. Remember, on the day of judgment, shall I read the akhlaq tip?
Yes, yes, you read everything.
Yeah, akhlaq tip. Buy and use only what you need and try to give the extra money to less fortunate people or invest in good causes such as building schools or hospitals. Remember, on the day of judgment, Allah will ask, how did you spend wealth I provided you? We must be careful and have a good answer for Allah on that day. We should not fall into the trap of buying things for reasons such as showing off to others, buying something just because your friend has it, or buying simply for the sake of buying. Akhlaq tip: if we think of Allah whenever we spend the money He has given us, and think whether He would approve of our purchase, then we will never commit israf. Allah says in the Holy Quran, "Eat and drink, but do not waste by excess, for God does not love the wasters." Surah Al-Araf.
Al-Araf,
Araf.
chapter 7.
a lot of people wasting their good deeds by performing bad ones. For example, those who help others financially give up their reward by reminding them of their help or by showing off. Doing a good deed is easy, but taking it to the hereafter is difficult.
Ahsan, thank you very much.
No problem.
Now, this is a very, very important chapter for our lives. Now, remember, akhlaq or ethics is such a subject which is very useful for the teacher and the students, basically for everybody. It is said by akhlaq teachers, big teachers, not just people like me who are very small, they say that akhlaq is the fruits of religion. You have the roots of religion, which is the aqaid, the usul din. Then you have the branches of religion, which is the furud, you do all the ahkam, the good things in practical life, follow the sharia. And then you have the fruits of religion, which is good akhlaq. Anybody with good akhlaq, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes them. Anybody with good akhlaq. Doesn't matter what religion they follow, but if their akhlaq is good, if they had good temperament, if they speak nicely, if they behave truthfully, if they are generous, if they don't get angry, all these things, they take care of each other, they do things for each other, and they put others first before themselves. All these things are loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So remember, for us to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we need to be good in our akhlaq. So you saw the first three things that I mentioned here was using more than we need. We are sometimes very guilty of that. All of us, elders and youngsters, both. Very important to remind ourselves that we should not be using more than we need. In fact, we should try to use less than we need. Because as long as our need is fulfilled, if you just feel like, I should have one more, we should leave it there. It's a very hard thing to do, but we need to try and practice it. This is a great month to do it, especially when the iftar time comes and we are all very hungry and thirsty, and most of us are tired by that time. We want to eat that extra bit that is there on the table. Even though we are feeling full, but we have that, we want that just for the sake of it's so tasty. It's just there, so we have it. No, don't have it. Keep it there for later, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a lot, alhamdulillah, and we should use it in a proper manner. If we take care of each other and we use only that much, which just fulfills our needs, you will see two things will happen. One, our will, that is the self-will that is called, will be stronger. And secondly, our health will improve. Surprise, surprise. Because eating less, not filling our stomach, is a good way to be in good health. Now, that's one aspect of it. Secondly, as I mentioned, and Zain read it to us beautifully, so not using something properly. If we have been given a tongue and a mouth to talk, we should talk nicely. We should talk good things. We should speak good about others, not make fun of others. If we don't use our tongue properly, that is the misuse of our tongue. Similarly with hands, similarly with eyes, similarly with feet. Anything which is misused, we have to answer for that. So be very, very careful. And this is the month of Ramadan, in which we should always be in a position of analyzing everything that we say and do. Everything. Because that's the only way we can improve ourselves. Our improvement is not only going to come by doing well in our academic school subjects and college and university subjects, or by working well and earning more money. That is just one aspect of it. The main thing is to build ourselves good habits, which lead to a good character. Good habits make a character, remember. Very, very important to have good habits and develop good habits. All of you are of an age, pretty much, where you know some bad habits inside you and some good habits inside you. Just do 2 exercises for you. You develop the good that you see, one good that you see in you. You develop that, do more and more of that. And try to stop one bad habit that you have. You know better. I don't know. Nobody needs to point it out to you. Maybe your mom and dad can. But you know what your bad habit or your weakness is. and you can try and work on reducing this. If you come out of this holy month of Ramadan by reducing one good habit and developing reducing one bad habit and developing one good habit, there is a lot of success, and you build on it. You build on it. We don't wait for the next month of Ramadan to do anything else. But once we start building, we keep building. We don't build and then knock it off, and then next year again we start building. That's stupid. That's not an intelligent person, I think, including me. It's not just for you. The reason I'm saying this, I'm reminding my own head that we have to work on ourselves all the time. And the third aspect was having something which we cannot afford. Now that is a big problem in our society, all of us, especially if you look at mobile phones. Every year there's a new model that comes in, a new thing, a new gadget, and we want that. That is not something that we should be doing. We should be trying to say, no, my current phone works perfectly fine. I'm happy to use that for the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. It's okay until it gets broken or until it gets damaged or it's not working properly. That's a different matter. That's when you need something. But if you don't need it and you buy it for the sake of buying it, that is israf, that is wastage. Because that money you could have invested in something else, could have given to something else, somebody more needy, somebody who actually doesn't have a phone. How many of you would be able to, look into your savings, the pocket money that you're given, and then buy a gift for somebody who might actually need it? Maybe not just of your brothers and sisters, which is good to buy things for your brothers and sisters as well. But I guess your mom and dad are taking care of that as well. But for somebody who might not have it, think of it. People who you don't know, but they might need something. They might need something. That's what we need to do, my dear young men and women. We need to step out of our comfort zones and give from what we already have and Allah has endowed us with, so that we have that ability to survive with less. If the time comes we need to survive with less, this is all training. If the time comes for us to survive with less, we have no problem, or we have little problem. For example, everybody has a problem when they have less. Let's get it right. Nobody is on that plane of mentality, of zahniya, as we say, that we can live comfortably with less. No, but we try to stop ourselves from doing or indulging in extra stuff, so that we develop our strength, our willpower, so that we become stronger. And when the need comes, when the Imam of our time comes, inshallah, Ajjalallahu ta'ala Sharif, when the Imam of our time comes, we are ready to be his servants. That's what his Imam is looking for you all to develop into some kind of a servant of his. The problem is nowadays, everybody wants to be a leader. Nobody wants to serve. Imam alayhi salam doesn't want leaders as such. He's looking for his followers. He's looking for people who can serve him. We need to be Abdullah. Allahu Akbar. Something started in my background. Ya Allah, Kareem. Sorry. I don't know what was it. Or it's some audio behind me. Ya Allah. Brother Amir, are you with me? Ya Allah, Kareem. It must be something iTunes has popped up. Ya Allah. Everything's going wrong today, my dear brother. Sorry, could you hear something? Brother Amir? Okay, is the screen back on for you guys? Good. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Sorry, there were some issues going on. Okay, I'm going to unmute all of you now if you have any questions or discussion. You want to discuss something with me? Please go on and ask me or talk to me. I can hear all of you now. So be careful of what you say, and if you're shouting, be quiet. Ask the questions which are relevant. Yes, please, I'm waiting. Any thoughts? I've been speaking for some time today, and I haven't heard any of you say anything. So go on, say it.
If why isn't teacher
Mhm,
if for you saying about the new mobile phone,
mhm.
so you can only get a new phone if it's broken. So like for example, if your phone is a few years old, and you just feel like updating it, you can't just get it for that reason.
Well, people do that. You know, I want to upgrade to a new phone. That's actually not a need, to be honest. Who was speaking? Was it Hassan or was it Murtaza?
Murtaza.
Murtaza, yeah. I mean, you can do it. Nobody's stopping you from doing it, but you have to look into your own self and see, do I actually need an upgrade now? If I really need an upgrade, there's certain things that the phone doesn't do, then it's fine. But just because you got an iPhone 10 and you got now an iPhone 11, or you got, you know, a Samsung 9 S9, but now the S10 has come in, you wanted to upgrade it because it's the latest thing in town. No, that's not right. But if you really need an upgrade, like you have a phone which is 5 years old and there's certain things that you need to do, for example, it doesn't have enough memory to download the Zoom app, just as an example, you don't need to. But if you're not able to, then you can upgrade it, of course, even though if it works properly. Although try and see how best to use it. I know I have friends who have phones for 7 years now. So that is one thing for you to decide on your own self. The point I'm trying to make here with all these subjects that we're studying is that we have to be prepared and in a position to decide the good ourselves. Do we have enough justification? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was questioning us, will we be in a position to reply to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a justification or the right answer for the reason why we did something? Why we ate so much extra that we couldn't even perform our next salah properly? Why were we buying stuff here and there when people, you know, in different lands of the world are struggling with food and shelter? You know what? You are growing up, but as I have grown up, I have seen that the poor people in the world has increased, and so as the rich. What I mean is the amount of wealth the rich have has increased, but the number of poor people and the degree of poverty has also increased. So, you know, just to give you an example, when I was growing up, Syria was not considered a poor place to be. Syria was, you know, okay country. It had its own resources. People were living there and they were eating. Okay, but now look at Syria. How bad is the situation? What can you do? Just because you don't make money, as in earn money yourself, you are possibly given pocket money by your parents.
Yes.
Yes, I heard a loud yes from somebody. Is it a parent? So yes, so you try to think of, you know, how you can save that money or how you can contribute. Lots of charities, decent charities, reliable charities in this month are actually coming to you through online channels to asking for your donation. £1 from you is a brick in Jannah. Inshallah, even more than a brick in Jannah, because everything gets multiplied in this month. So you have to decide. I'm not going to say, oh, Murtaba, don't go and buy a new phone. Who am I to say to you? My job is to give you the resources and the basis on which to spend your resources, spend your wealth, spend your stuff. How? Because then you don't have the option of saying, I did not know, I was not told. My job here is to give you the platform on what to do and how. In actual specific cases, it is up to you to decide. Does that make any sense, Murtaza?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was going to get a new phone, but I think I'm gonna hold out another few years now.
Very good boy, mashallah. It's up to you. But you know, if somebody's buying a new phone, don't think you're a bad boy or a bad girl. No, that's not my point here. My point here is you know what is the best course of action, and you decide, because you are answerable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yourself, not me. I'm answerable to Allah ta'ala for my own actions, for my own words, for the way I spend my wealth. So these things are for us to consider and to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's 7 o'clock. I know we have started late today and you've been waiting patiently for me, but what I'll do is I'll end this akhlaq class unless somebody wants to ask me more questions or discuss something more. Please go ahead. And I'm going to just talk a little bit more about the history that we did last week. Any more questions? Any more discussions from anybody? Okay, no. So I'm going to mute you all now. And then I'm going to speak for another 5 minutes so that, then we end the class, inshallah, unless you have more questions. So we studied in history, we studied last week about the Hijrah. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam waited outside of Medina in a place called Quba, which is now in the city of Medina. As inshallah, many of you should do research and see where Quba is within Medina. Go onto Google Maps and check it out. Just think that Medina, the main town center, the city center, is the Masjid al-Nabawi. And then you check the distance between Quba and Medina and Masjid al-Nabawi. And check it out for yourself. It'll be very interesting. And in this day and age, it's not much. But in those days, it was outside the city. It was outside the city center. So Rasulullah waits there, as we had read last week. And he waits there for Imam Ali alayhi salam to come with the Fawatim. And then they reach. In the meantime, Rasulullah is building a small mosque so that he can pray, and all of them. When they get there, Imam Ali alayhi salam is a bit injured because he was being chased by the people from Quraysh because they had found out that he had left. So he had fought them off, and he was, a bit injured. So Rasulullah was quite saddened, and he took care of all of them, and they rested for a while, and then they decided to go into the city. And then when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Imam Ali alayhi salam, and Fatima Zahra salamullah, Fatima bint Asad, and other Fatima, the auntie of Rasulullah, they all went in there to the city. People had lined up to welcome them, and they were greeting Rasulullah, and then they were, haggling with each other. No, Rasulullah comes and stays into my house and all that. So what happened was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, okay, I will let this camel walk through, and wherever this camel kneels down and sits, that's the house I will go into. And this is exactly what happened. The camel leaned down at a place and sat down. And Rasulullah got down. It was the house of Abu Ayyub Ansari. And Abu Ayyub Ansari's mother quickly picked up Rasulullah's stuff and took it to her own house. And then people were haggling about who is going to make food for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was a beautiful scene of trying to give. And we'll do more, read more on this one in our next class, inshallah. The masjid and the house next to the masjid was built. The Masjid Nabawi was built, and the house next to the masjid was built for him to stay. So this is a little short synopsis. I want to ask you some question. I know some people have left already. I'm going to unmute you all, and I know it's been over the time of 7 o'clock. Any of you guys or girls, any of you are interested in history? Yes or no? It's a direct question to all of you.
Yes.
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 Okay. Yes.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Little bit. Who is little bit?
Me.
Me is Iman. Because
Fazan.
Fazan. Okay, you're a little bit interested, Fazan. Okay. Anybody not interested in history at all? It's okay not to be interested in history, but I would just like to know and give you a tip, inshallah. Anybody not interested in history? Okay. So pretty much all of you are interested to some extent or to a large extent in history. And it's very important for all of us to know our history, to know our Islamic history, because there are lots of questions that need to be answered, and history does answer some of it. You got to read a few types of history books because, you know, some history books are skewed. The real history is not actually available to all of us. So there is a bit of a problem in history. However, we need to read, we need to understand. That is why these books that we have. And the reason I asked you this question was, read history like a storybook. And this chapter, the second chapter in the history book after Hijrah, go through it and read it and ask questions if you have any, or read the next chapter and ask questions, because it is important that you all know what we're talking about and why we're talking about. Okay? What happened in Medina and after. We all go to our majlis and we listen to our lectures from the member, and we come out with some things from there. So it is important that we know what we are talking with an academic background. We know some solid, you know, background about when this happened, how this happened. So you can give references that this is what is written in this history book, or in my Majlis al-Ulama book. I studied from this book at this level that you're in. So it is important that you all read a little bit of history just at night, 10 minutes before you go to sleep. You know, read it as it's just like a storybook, and it'll be good fun as well and good information as well. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Thank you very much for being in class. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadi wa ali Muhammad. Anybody questions? Please, I'm willing to take any questions. Brother Amir, can you unmute all my students, please? Or you can unmute yourself and ask the questions. Ghazanfar, are you there today?
Salam, sir. How are you?
You there?
How's your Ramadan? If you buy, am I not talking?
Yeah, you're talking.
Oh, if you did too much stuff, would you have to pay a kafara for it?
Well, I don't think there is a kafara. I'm not sure, to be honest, to answer your question. I'll find out for you if there is a kafara. I mean, what do you call when you say there is an israf? There is definitely going to be questions asked on Judgment Day, and you'll be answerable for that, and you will be taken to task for that.
In a way to redeem yourself for buying all that stuff unnecessarily.
Well, you can gift it away if you have
another way of doing?
No, there's no kafara that I know of here. I'll ask, or I'll read the Risala. There's no kafara that I know of, but if you have done israf, that is on your heart and mind, on your soul, that expense, and for that you need to have, you know, justification. If you keep it for more than a year without using it because you've done israf, then you have what you call khums on it. For example, you bought a shirt and you're not using it for more than 1 year. It's sitting in your cupboard, on your wardrobe. After 1 year, it becomes liable for khums because it is something extra that you didn't need, that you bought. Are you with me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Anything for that. If you bought a computer which you don't use, you'll have to be careful of what you buy. If it's lying around doing nothing.
But if you pay khums on it one time, can you just leave it as that, or do you have to repeat?
Well, once you paid khums on it once, then it's okay, then it's halal. But the good thing is, even if you paid khums and you don't need to use it, it's good to give it to somebody. Don't keep it like, oh, I've not worn it this year, maybe next year I'll wear it. You might not. If you give it now, somebody who's needy, then loads of people who are needy. Then maybe next time you'll get something better when you actually need it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be pleased with you for your action. Murtaza is not able to unmute himself. Is that right, Murtaza? Okay, Murtaza is asking me a question. Another person, sorry, hold on a second. Was it Shapara? What are the consequences of for doing israf? I think I answered your question when I was answering Ghazan for Shapara. That the consequences are that on Judgment Day you'll be liable for answers, and if you don't have enough right answers, then we will have punishments. And in this world as well, if you hoard a lot, if you do a lot of israf, then we have a problem, because people who are needy don't get enough, and then the prices rise of certain things, and that is a problem. So we have to be very, very clear on the on our own conscience, that are we doing the right thing? Are we justified in doing the right thing? What am I doing the right thing? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks me this question now, will I be able to answer Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now? Is that okay, Shafara? Iman, a very important question that she asked is, where can I find the class 7 book online? It's on the MUS website. I think the link was there, but if you don't have, Brother Amir, would you be so kind to send Iman the link for the book 7 where she can get it from the MUS website? Iman, are you there with me? If Iman is listening still, you can go onto the Majlis al-Ulama website, and then that's it. Alamdar, thank you very much. That's the link. Thank you very much. Alamdar, Muhammad Ali or Ghazanfar, because they're all using the same set. So thank you very much for sending that. Any more questions, please?
You said if you have something in Israf, it's liable for khums. What's the difference between khums and zakat?
Khums is on your savings, general savings that you have, and zakat is in certain items. Khums is how much is khums? Do you know?
I think it's 25%.
No. What is the meaning of the word khums? Where does the word khums come from?
I think in Arabic, khumsa is a number.
Yes. What is the number?
Well, from the chat it says 20, so I'm just going to go with 20.
Okay, calm down. 20% from Abbas, I think is that Abbas Raza. Khums comes from the word khamsa. Khamsa means 5, which is khums is 1/5 basically. 1/5 is 20%. So 20% of your savings every year is khums. Zakat, as has been mentioned in the chat by Abbas Raza, who's using his mother's account, I think, is 2.5% on certain objects like grains, like something you got it from the gems from the sea, cattle. All these things are there in zakat. So that is applicable. The zakat are applicable on certain items, the specific item. If you don't have those items, then you don't have zakat liable on you. Asma Shabir, thank you very much. 5 is khamsa, khums is 1/5. Yes, is the right answer, Asma. And the thing is, so the 2.5% is the tax that you pay on certain things which you have under your control. Now, there's a difference in Shia and Sunni fiqh. I don't think we should get into it, but because it's been raised, and I think it might be a question in some of your minds, that the Sunni Muslims tend to pay zakat. They never do anything to do with khums, right? So if they don't do khums, then they do zakat only. So they say 2.5% on savings to them. Everybody does that. Who has the ability, is the term uses istitat. If they have the istitat, then they will give 2.5% yearly as zakat to the poor and the needy and everybody. And khums is not given to, sorry, khums is not, I beg your pardon. Now, khums is not given by them because they do not understand this concept of khums. For us, khums is important for Sadat and the non-Sadat, for Imam, all these people. So there are certain categories of people that khums is eligible for, because we cannot give zakat, we cannot give a wajib sadaqah to the sadat. So they have khums, which is how they live their lives, especially the poor sadat. Or
Go
doing,
for a bike ride, Hassan.
sorry, okay. I hope you have answered your question. I'm not going to go deeper and deeper into it because it's a big subject.
Yeah, thank you.
Murtaza, okay. So zakat is 2.5%, mainly on certain items as far as Shia fiqh is concerned. And khums is 20% of your income. Of
Okay,
any
thank you.
of your saving every year. Sorry, you're not income, saving. Okay, now Iman asks, do you have to pay khums on your savings every year, like money, if it's pocket money? Yeah. If it's pocket money, that's a very good question. If you are the owner of the money and you are making that money every year, then you have zakat on, you have khums on that as well. But I guess your parents have already done khums. You already done their khums on that. But if you look at it from another angle, you are earning money from something. As a child, you are earning money from somewhere. Now there are certain conditions on khums as well. You have to be baligh, you have to be saying all these things as well. But which in your case, you're all in that level where you are all grown up. So that is a very interesting question. Iman, this question I will clarify to you next week, inshallah ta'ala. So, but if you treat it like an income for yourself, it has khums on it on the savings you make every year. So that is your direct answer. But I will clarify this to you next week. And Zain, do you have to pay taxes if you pay khums or zakat? Yes. Can't get away with that, Zain. Yeah, just because you paid Islam. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. We do get a double whammy because we pay our Islamic taxes and we pay the tax of the law of the land. So we can't get out of that. And all the people who earn the money, ask them how they feel when the taxes are deducted. Okay. Farzan asks, what if you do not get pocket money? If you have no income, that means you have no savings, Farzan. And if you have no savings, there's no khums.
So, if you don't get pocket money, but like on occasions, like for example, Eid, you get money. So it's not like a constant income, but you still have the money. Or do you still have to pay khums?
Well, if you save it, if that is considered your income, that's a gift as well, a gift. The khums is also liable on a gift. For example, if somebody gifts you a shirt, which you haven't used for a year, that khums is liable on that. So that is extra on you. You could have given it away to somebody.
Yeah.
But you hoarded it and you kept it because maybe one day I'll wear it, one on the wedding or this or whatever. But it never happened. But if you look at it one way, if you get ED and you save it for a year as your own money, then it's khums in that. As long as your conditions of khums are liable on you.
Okay.
And then yes, offshore accounts, everything has khums. Wherever. If you have a house in Dubai and it's on rent, there is khums. If you have a Swiss bank account, there is khums. Anything that you don't use, it's over your needs, and it's been there for over a year, there is khums. Offshore accounts, definitely offshore. I mean, if you have offshore accounts, you're having too much money. I must say that. Alhamdulillah. What if you're saving money for something? Yes. There's one or two things on which if you're saving money for somebody's marriage or something like that, there's no khums. But if you're saving money, you have to pay khums. Farzan, that's a good question. But I'll give you an example. I mean, I don't want to get too technical right now. But to answer you, to leading you from your own question of saving money, if you are saving, that means you have extra money. However, if you are saving for a certain thing that is happening on a particular date, and you will need that money on that date, which you have planned for, especially like a wedding of a daughter or something like that, then you don't pay the khums on that. And remember, if Khums is, let's say, on the first of the month, just for giving you an example, yet on the first of the month, you have to still pay your rent, you have to pay your taxes, whatever bills you have, and all that stuff. You deduct that, and then from that, the rest of the money, you pay your Khums. I hope this is clear. Because Khums is not on the needs, Khums is on your extra save. What if your total savings is equal to your debt elsewhere? Very good question. Are these coming from the children, or are these coming from the children's parents? I'm not so sure, but they're good questions. Okay, total savings and debt. For example, a debt like a mortgage. You know that every month you have a mortgage to pay, and that is not something that is going away, so that you already planned for. So that you have, and if you have the savings on top of that, you will pay. But if your debt is suddenly come up that you will need to pay suddenly now, maybe that you'll have to deduct it, and the amount of course will come after deducting. But if it's a mortgage which you know every month is going to be at £500 or £1,000 every month, then you still have to pay Khums on whatever is remaining. Yes. Alamdar. So say your income is 5 million, you buy a car or something for 1 million. Is that considered Isra? Very much so, I would say. First of all, I think there's barely any car which is a normal car, which is £1 million. I know there are cars with 100,000. Those are called expensive cars, and they are. Some people might say, I need that. Maybe they need bulletproof cars or whatever it is in a certain country for whatever they have to do. There's kind of a liability on them of life being threatened and something like that. But yes, first of all, if you have 5 million, definitely pay Khums on that. And 1 million car is, I would say, under any circumstances, it is Isra. You don't need a £1 million car, ever. Any more? Very good questions coming, very interesting discussion. I'm waiting, I'm ready. Okay. Yeah, you're all having a good laugh. I like that. Alhamdulillah, if you have 5 million, inshallah ta'ala, if you have, make sure that every year you've given your income till it has reached 5 million. And 5 million should not be lying in your bank in any case. You should be building some houses, some hospitals, some libraries, something like that. Paying for somebody's education, paying for somebody's marriage. No, one thing, remember, my dear, whoever you are, there are till 12 people, so I can say this very important thing, that if you are doing something for somebody, keep it quiet. Keep it very quiet. Because it's easy. Actually, it's not, well, let's not to use the word easy. I'll say it's easier to do a good thing in this world. Especially people who are like in my situation, who are working, all the older, your parents, it's fairly comfortably easy for us to do a good thing. In this world, that is. But it's very hard to take that good thing to the akhirah. You know why? Because we talk about it. Oh, I paid for that person's wedding. Oh, I paid for that masjid. I paid, £50,000. The masjid costs 100,000. Well, it doesn't cost 100,000 these days. I'm just giving you an example. But I paid for the center. 50,000 was my contribution. The more you say it, the more you're reducing it. Because whatever you've done good, gone to the drain. It is said that if you say it once, the goodness is taken away of what you did. If you say it twice, it becomes a negative on you. So it is very important that whenever we do any good, we keep it very quiet. If the right hand is given, the left hand shouldn't know. That's like a proverb. Does israf fall into riya? Israf means wastage, Riya means show off, right? Israf can lead to people doing israf a lot of times due to Riya, to show off. Why do you want to buy a 1 million car? Taking your example on that, whether it's Alamdar or Muhammad Ali or Ghazanfar. But whoever is buying a £1 million car, for example, taking your example, why does he want it? What kind of a car do you get that other cars don't do it? Even normally expensive cars, which are 70, 80,000, 90,000 pounds, are still very expensive. They do a very good job of looking good and giving you a good drive, a good ride, and making you feel that you're in a nice car. But having a £1 million car is definitely, it has to have something to do with showing off that I have something that nobody has. I have this. Or you got new trainers, I got new trainers. I got these ones. This person wears it, so I got it. So what? You're trying to be like him or her, or a dress that you buy that because somebody else you found had it, and you want to be associated with that guy, so you're showing off. So that is something that is very much in the category of Riya. Riya can be very different kinds, Alamdar. Riya can be like just praying and salat in front of everybody, just so that everybody knows that you pray. You're praying extra, even though there's no prayer time now. Zohar, you've done, Asr, you've done, but you're just praying just so that you want to show to people that you're praying in the month of Ramadan. That is also Riya. So we have to be very careful. Any kind of thing that we are not doing with needs can go into the category of Riya if your intention is not right. Riya has a lot to do with intention. Showing off has all to do with intention. You can buy a great dress and it might not be Riya because you want to wear this because you like it and you can afford it. But you can easily buy a new t-shirt, a simple t-shirt, just because you want to show off. That can become Riya. So we've got to be very, very careful. I want to teach because it's a good thing to do. Everybody can learn something and we can have a good discussion. But if I teach because I want to show off how intelligent, how knowledgeable I am, that is Riya. Even though I might not be making money, even though I might not be making anything else, but my intention within myself is not right. And that is Riya. So that is in detail your answer. Okay, Asma, how can you differentiate? Sorry, Asma, before your question, Zain Hamdani, does bodybuilding count as israf? No. Again, it's a question of intention there. Bodybuilding, if you are building your body to be fit, and fitness just needs basic stuff. You don't need to go to the most expensive gym. You don't need the most expensive drinks and the protein shakes and all that stuff. You don't. You need to have decent food, and you need to have good amount of activity, which you can do even at home. And you can walk and run, and you can, I can tell you 10 exercises that you can do in your house that will make you a very, very fit person in fitness. But bodybuilding in general, just because you want to grow thick muscles, unless you want to build a career in weightlifting or something, but you want to show it off, a lot of people show off. And that is an israf, and that is a show off as well, a riya. I'm going to Asma's question. How can you differentiate israf from things which are sort of becoming a norm? For example, having an iPhone, not the latest model, but even otherwise are expensive. Very, very good question. So how can you differentiate israf from the things which are becoming a norm? Like everybody wants to have an iPhone or a Samsung Galaxy. Any other phone will not do. Well, there are phones which are not the most well known or most popular or most flashy in the name, in what we call a brand image. In marketing, we call it, there's a brand image that this particular thing is the ultimate thing to have. Even though there might be other things that are there available. Yes, it is a kind of an israf, but because it's what is selling these days, you go with it. I don't think it's a major problem. But if you can, for example, an iPhone 10 when it came out, I remember, Oh no, and the Samsung Galaxy 10 when it came out, it used to cost 900 something pounds. Now, I'm pretty sure I can get something similar at about half the price, which you could find in Huawei. You could find that on a phone. Just give me an example of phones, for example. But you know, people are going for the Samsung S10 because that is the thing to have, and it is quite wrong. And just because something becomes a norm doesn't make it right. Actually, there are a lot of things that have become a norm, which 20 years ago, which were a crime. So it is very important that norm doesn't make it right. Nowadays, norms are quite very, very confusing because norms might definitely not be the right altogether all the time. Norms have become because lots of people are doing it. Lots of people doing wrong things as well. That becomes a norm, but you have to be careful not to do it. So an iPhone is an example, but it's not like a very bad norm. But yeah, it is a norm which one could actually have cheaper phones and similar quality. An iPhone is expensive because it is got a brand image in the world. It's Apple, it's iPhone. It's just nothing so seriously, good about an iPhone that no other phones have. For example, if you want to make a phone call, a video call, store images, take pictures, have good data inside the phone, lots of phones do it. But there's an image, and people know if I don't have an iPhone, it'll look bad on me and my friends and all that. No, that is just rough. Yes, you're right. It all depends on from person to person, what they're comfortable with. Like I've mentioned, it's on your intention. Go with that. So Farzan says, if you buy £1 million car which fuels jealousy, are you going to be held responsible for it? Well, you will not be responsible for the jealousy that is causing the others, but you will be held responsible for the riya and the israf that you've done. Jealousy, if it happens from somebody else, that is for them to answer. But yes, you are becoming a tool in the hands of shaitan, which is causing that jealousy. So yeah, there is a slight implication on that to the person buying that car as well. Maybe the idea is for him when he's buying a £1 million car, the idea is for people to feel jealous. That is very wrong. Anybody who does those kinds of expenses, which you very well know that you can get away with an expense of less than 10% or less than 50% of that, and get the same thing, is doing something which is not right ethically. Because people are doing those things mainly to fuel jealousy, mainly to show off, mainly to tell people that how big they are and how flashy they are and how they have things that others don't have. These are the attitude that people have when they buy a £1 million car. Cars nowadays are getting cheaper and cheaper. So when somebody buys a £1 million car, there's definitely got some lot of golds and diamonds in it or whatever it is, which is total waste, total extra. But for the jealousy, if your intention is to cause jealousy, yes, you will be held responsible. But if jealousy is caused because you have done some show off, you will be held responsible for the show off. The others will be held responsible for the jealousy. Any more questions? All good questions coming in. I had said to somebody, I'm going to find out the answer to something. We clarify it. I know. I just want to clarify it. Pocket money. Okay. Yes, pocket money. Okay. Yes, next one.
I've heard that sports and like working out, bodybuilding, this sort of stuff, it's not actually like it's not encouraged in Islam. And someone told me that once someone asked Mola Ali what they think of sports, and this Mola Ali said sports is not for us, or something like that. Like, is it bad to do like things like this on a regular routine?
Yes, good question. First of all,
sorry, it's a bit random, but
no, not at all, not at all. It's okay. It's a good question. First of all, being like Imam Ali alayhi salam is going to be very, very hard for every one of us. Mali alayhi salam gave us the example of how he lived his life. And he also said to us, it will be very difficult for you to do what I do. Okay? His standards were very, very high. We try to emulate him as much as we can. Now, generally speaking, sport is not bad. If you are going to out for an exercise, you go and play a game of tennis for an hour, come back and do your stuff. No, you go and play a game of badminton, go and play a game of cricket. Now, cricket is a challenging situation, and I know our communities are big into cricket. Cricket is a challenging situation because it's a waste of time like no other sport. You can't be spending the whole day running around the field, or 5 days for that matter. Okay, if it's your career, maybe you can say, well, this is what I do for a living. I go out and play cricket. But if it impinges on your religion's duties, your family duties, you have to be very careful. Sports nowadays can totally be wrong. If you look at football, if you look at the environment in the football stadium, if you look at how people are spending their time arguing and playing and getting fit for that first of all, and then playing for that amount and then discussing it for 2 hours later, and some people are just sitting and watching it on TV whole evening. That is a problem. Playing sport is one thing. It's just indulging in sport and just watching it for the sake of it is a different. That is definitely a no-no. But we do all do that. We all do that, and that's a problem. Of course, relaxation is a good thing as well. And some people relax by watching sport. But you've got to limit your time into that. We all fall into the trap when we can't do it because it's relaxing, it's entertaining. But if it is impinging on your duties, then it is totally wrong. That much is clear. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, go. I'll give one more. Okay. Ooh. It is one of our Sunnis, Imamat here. What is Sunni? It's only Nabuwat, not Imamat. Imamat is not for them. It is Nabuwat. Tawheed, Nabuwat, Qiyamah. Is that okay, Fazan? She does have Tawheed, Nabuwat, Imamat. Imamat actually comes under the Nabuwat aspect. Adl, Maad, all that stuff. But the Sunnis don't believe in Imamat. Sorry. I mean, they don't. I mean, if you look at the theory of it, if you look at really generalize it, not look at it from a lens of a Shia or a Sunni, if you look at it in a general sense of a Muslim, they all understand that there has to be somebody who has to take care of the affairs of the Muslims. But they don't give into the logic and the, what do you call it, the office of Imam, unfortunately. Yeah, any more? Fazan, just to enhance your point further, if Sunnis believed in Imamat, they won't be Sunni. They will all be Imamiyya, which is why they don't have Imamat in the Usul. So it is their Aqidah, and it is the way their theology goes. You're very welcome, Alamdar, Wazanfar, and Muhammad Ali. If any of you has questions, I'll take one more question and then we'll let go. Please go if you have one more question. Very welcome, Zain. Very welcome, Fazan. No questions? Recite the salawat and we end the class for today. Inshallah, see you Thursday. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. May Allah accept all your ibadat and your fasting and increase blessings on all of you. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
That is